So welcome to this video on 162 Maths, and in this video we're going over the AQA GCSE Maths paper of November 2019, Foundation Paper 3, which is a calculator paper. And as always, I'll include a link to the paper and the question breakdown so you can see which question refers to which topic to aid your revision, should you find any of these questions slightly tricky. And I'll also include the grade boundaries not only for this paper but for the whole entire series of the Foundation November 2019 papers. So the first question says that on a circle, which of these is not a straight line? So we've got choice of circumference, radius, chord or diameter, and the correct answer is the circumference. And question 2 says circle the expression which can be written as 3CD. Now when you've got this, it just means when there's no symbol in between, they're just being multiplied, so that's the same as those two, and the order doesn't make a difference in which you're multiplying, but the correct answer you should have highlighted is the last one. Next question then says which two numbers when added together make a cube number? Well, for this one, if we add these, that becomes 9, add these two becomes 6, add these two becomes 27, and add these two and it becomes 72, in which our cube number is the third option. Then moving on to question 4, convert 2.5 kilograms into grams. Well, that's 2.5 kilograms. And to convert that into grams, we multiply that by 1,000, in which we should have our third option there. Next question, 5a, says convert 47 over 8 into a mixed number. Now, to do this, what we just need to do is how many 8s go into 47? Well, that's going to be 5, remainder 7. And so we write the mixed number as 5 and 7/8. Now you can do this on your calculator. All you need to do is simply enter the fraction in, so 47 over 8, press equals, and then if you press shift and the SD button, it will convert it into a mixed number for you. Next question then says convert 61 over 128 as a decimal. We can do that straight on the calculator. So 61 divided by 128 equals, press the SD button, and we want to round it to 2 decimal places. It is worth 2 marks, so you'd get 2 marks if you write it correctly, but if to play it safe, I would always recommend that you write down the whole entire number. So that whole entire number should be 0.4765625. Round up to 2 decimal places gives you 0.48. So for question 6, it says George buys some food for £16.55. He buys the exact amount with 2 notes and 4 coins. List the notes and the coins. So for this one, the notes are going to be £10 and £5, which comes up to £15. So what I need to do then, find 4 coins that add up to a total of £1.55, which I'm going to go for in no particular order. 50p, which takes it to £16, another 50p, takes it to 16.50, and then 5p is remaining. Then moving on to question 7, it says choose one of the following to make the correct statement each time. Now for this particular question, this is going to be obviously algebraic substitution. So what we need to do is substitute the corresponding a value into the expression. So here if I substitute a equals 3 into 4a, that's going to be 4 times 3, which is 12, and 3 plus 7, which is 10. 12 is greater than 10, so I just need to write that. So I just need to write is greater than. Now again, if you wanted to use inequalities, you probably could, but I would probably stick with the statements because it says the correct statement. But again, I think they would allow if you were to use inequalities, but I wouldn't run that risk. Moving on to the next one, when b is 8. So if I substitute b equals 8 into 2b minus 6, well 2 times 8 is 16, minus 6 is 10, and 18 take away 8 is also 10, so 10 is equal to, so I've just got to write is equal to, and again you can probably use the equal symbol there. For c, we've got c is 0.5, so 3 times 0.5, well if you think about it in terms of money, 3 lots of 50p is £1.50, or in this case 1.5, and 0.5 plus 1 is 1.5, so again we've got another is equal to. And then finally, we've got d equals minus 1. Well, d is just going to be minus 1. And d squared, well, minus 1 squared is minus 1 multiplied by minus 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 negatives multiplied together give you positive. So that's going to equal positive 1. And so minus 1 is less than d squared, and again the symbol will be that.
Question 8, it says write down all the whole numbers that are between 20 and 50 and has a difference of 4 between their digits. Now, so for this one, again, we're just listing out the ones. So we've got 26, 37, 40, and 48. Now, what they mean by the difference between the 4, so obviously the difference between 2 and 4 is, 2 and 6 is 4, difference between 3 and 7 is 4, difference between 4 and 0 is 4, and the difference between 4 and 8 is 4. Now, one thing you probably could do is you could either just write down the list of all the double digits between 20 and 50 and cross them off, but that will take you quite a long time. But again, if you could be a little bit quicker with that, but if you are struggling, then there's no harm in you doing that. Question 9a is about rearranging the formula. So we want to make p the subject. So here we can see we've got m the subject, so we've got m equals, but we want p equals. So what do I need to get rid of? We need to get rid of this plus 2. How to get rid of plus 2? Take away 2. So it's going to be p equals, well, let's write it the way that I've got it here. So it's going to be m minus 2 equals p. So p equals m minus 2. Now it is important that you write it like this. Try not to write m minus 2. Make sure you do include that p. Question 9b, simplify 5x squared minus 1x squared. Well, 5 take away 1 is going to be 4. So it's just 4x squared. Moving on to question 10, it says that a line joins A, which is at 1, 1, and B, 6, 1, which is plotted on the grid. So let's just have a look at what it's telling us. It says P is a point on the line that of the line AB such that A to P, P to B is in the ratio of 2 to 3. C is a point such that the angle APC is 90 degrees and PC is 4 centimeters. Write down the coordinates of the two possible points for C. So let's start off first of all by marking where P is going to be. Now, as you can see that there's 5 squares separating A to B, and there's 2 squares towards A and 3 squares toward P, so that there is going to be P. Now, APC is 90 degrees, so we're going to be looking at C being somewhere along this line here. Now, the question says that P to C is 4 centimeters. So what I need to then do is count. Now this line does extend. So C can either be 4 squares above the line or 4 squares below the line, which is going to be here. So that's two possible areas of C. And what I need to do is just note down what those coordinates are. So this coordinate is 3, 5. And this coordinate here is minus 3. I've got those coordinates wrong. So this one is going to be 3, minus 3. So what I need to do then is 3, 5 and 3 minus 3, and there is the answer for that one. Now for question 11, it says that at a school there are 6 lessons in a day. In total the 6 lessons last for 5 hours, and part A says assume each lesson lasts the same amount of time. How many minutes long is the final session? Now the key thing to remember here is that here we've got the total time in hours and we want the minutes. So first thing I need to do is work out what 5 hours is in minutes. So 5 hours equals 5 times 60, and so that equals 300 minutes. And then all I then need to do is divide that by the number of lessons, which is 6, and that gives me 50 minutes. For 11b, it says that in fact the first lesson of the day lasts longer than the other lessons. The other lessons last the same amount of time. What does this tell you about the length of the final lesson? And we just need to tick which box. So it says that this is going to be shorter than the answer in part A. This is the same as part A, or it's going to be longer than part A. Well, using common sense, it's obviously going to be shorter, because obviously if the first lesson is longer, then it means that that's going to be taking time from the other lessons if they're all the same. So looking at question 12, it says that a bottle contains 1.5 litres of water, 650 millilitres of water is poured into a jug. How much water is left in the bottle? So for this, it's all about converting units. So 1.5 litres equals 1500 millilitres. And then what I then need to do is take away the 650. And if I type that into my calculator just to make sure, and so let's just get that calculator up. So we've got 1500, take away 650, we get the answer of 850. And what we need to make sure, we're writing the units, which is in millilitres. Or if you were working in units, litres, it would be 0.85 litres. So if looking at question 13, now again, it's really just going back to question 12. It is really important that you do show your working out and also make it clear as to what units you are using, because it obviously it does specify that in there. And also make sure in your answer little box there, line that you've got to write your answer, make sure you are including those units. Try not to write both possible answers, just be confident in picking one and you're done with that. Looking at question 13, it says, I'm just going to that cursor. So it says the cost of 5 kilograms of potatoes is £3.20. The cost of half a kilogram of carrots is 29 pence. Work out the total cost of 12 kilograms of potatoes and 1.5 kilograms of carrots. So first things first, what we need to do is work out 1 kilogram of potatoes. So to do this, what I need to do is do 3.2 divided by 5, and again if I just get my calculator, 3.2 divided by 5, and that gives me a cost of 64 pence per kilogram. Then obviously in terms of carrots, well, if half a gram is 29 pence, 1.5 kilograms of carrots is going to be 3 times that, so it's going to be 3 times 0.29, which again, just quickly using the calculator, times 3 equals, and it's going to be 87 pence. So to work out the total cost, it's going to be, well, 12 kilograms, so 12 times the price for 1 kilogram plus 0.87. So again, just typing that all into my calculator. So 12 times 0.64 equals plus 0.87 gives me a total cost of £8.55. Then looking at question 14, it says that a term-to-term rule for a sequence is add 4 and divide by 2. If the first term is 36, work out the third term. So here I've got 36, this is my second term, this is my third term. So what I need to do to get from this to this is add 4 and then divide by 2. So again, on the calculator, I've got 36 and then plus 4 equals divided by 2, not 1, equals, so I get 20, and then I just need to repeat the process. So add 4, divide by 2. So add 4 is 24, divided by 2 is 12, so the answer then is 12. For question 12b, again we've got another term by term rule. It says that this time we need to divide by 3 and add 10. If the second term is 60, work out the first term. Now for this, because we know what the second term is, to go in the opposite direction I need to do the opposite in the opposite order. So to go from here to here, I'm dividing by 3, then add 10. So to go in this direction, what I need to do first is I need to subtract 10 and then times by 3. So 60 to take away 10 is 50, and then 50 divided times 3 is 150. Now for question 15, it says that the table shows the cost of hiring a concrete mixer for up to 5 days. And so the table is as it is. So Eva hires the concrete mixer for 5 days. She says that the rate is £14 per day because the cost of 1 day is £14. Is she correct? Well, the answer is no, she is not. And the reason for that is because the increases are not £14. So for example, so let's just write that down. So no, as the increases or the increasing amount is not £14 or even the same. So for the first day, the increases is £10, then it goes by another £10, then it's another £10, and then it's another £10. So let me just retract that last bit of the statement. Is not £14, it's basically £14 for the first day, then £10 per additional day. So something along those lines would be enough to get you to the 2 marks. For question 16, it says that x is a negative number. Which of the following statements is correct? So for this, it's going to be the, well, again, if you just pick a negative number, again, a range of negative numbers just to see which one is true. But basically the correct answer is going to be the last one. Now moving on to question 17, it says the table shows the number of films watched in 1 week by 30 people, and question A is asking us for the modal number of films watched. Now this is the most popular one, so the one with the highest frequency. So for this, the one with the highest frequency is going to be 1, as it's this one here. Now the next question then asks us to work out the mean number of films watched per person. Now for this, what we need to do is we need to use this blank column here and label this as our fx value. Now the fx value is calculated by multiplying the number in the first column by the number in the second column. So what we need to do here is 0 times 5 is 0, 1 times 9 is 9, then we've got 16, 18 and 8. Now the next thing I then need to do is add all these numbers up. Now if we add all those numbers up, we should get a total of 51. Now to work out the mean of these, let me just move it down a little bit. So the mean is equal to the total fx divided by the total frequency, which in this case is 51, divided by 30, because obviously it says here that the total is 30, the total frequency. And so all I then need to do is just type that into my calculator. So 51 divided by 30, and that gives me an answer of 1.7, which seems a bit accurate. I don't know why I'm writing the highlighter there, so let's just get rid of that. 1.7. Does that look right? Well, yes, because the most popular number of films watched were between 1 and 2, and my answer is between 1 and 2. So question 18 says that Jenny leaves home at 6 a.m. She runs for 3 hours. Here is a distance time graph of her run. It says how far from home is she after 3 hours. So what we need to do here is look along our vertical axis, which looks at distance, and after her run you can see that she is 20 kilometers from home. She said, then now the next part of the story then says for the next hour she rests, then she then gets a bus home and arrives home at 11:30. Complete the time distance graph, assume that the bus travels at a constant speed. So for this we need to draw a horizontal line for 1 hour, so she's resting, so we go to this point here. So again, if I draw with a ruler a line that goes from there, and it then takes she arrives home at 11:30, which is here. So what I then need to do is get a ruler and connect those 2 points up. And again, you want to try and be as accurate as possible, and you should have something that looks like that. Now for question 19, it says that S and T are rectangles, and S has the dimensions of x plus 2 and x. Some of the rectangles make the larger rectangle as shown. It says write down the expression for the perimeter of T. Now for this, what we're wanting to do is not work out the perimeter of the total shape, which again where a lot of people go wrong. We want the perimeter of this here. Now in order for us to work out the perimeter, we need to know what the sides are. Now this side here is basically these two expressions. So here we've got, so if I just draw another rectangle here, now that total length of that orange line that I've drawn here is going to be x plus 2 plus x plus 2, which equals 2x plus 4. So what I can do is scribble that out and label this as 2x plus 4. Now for the width or the height of this, then what I need to do, well, if this length here is x and this total length here is x plus 2, then this length here must be that plus 2 bit, because obviously if I do x plus 2 take away x, all I'm left with is 2. So what I then need to do is work out the perimeter of this shape. So all I need to do is just add up those four sides. So P equals, P meaning perimeter, I've got 2x plus 4 plus 2 plus 2x plus 4 plus 2. And again, collecting all the like terms, I've got 4x, and I've got 4 plus 2, which is 6, plus another 6, gives me 12. And so there is my expression in its simplest form. Now looking at question 20, it says a to b is 7 to 1. Circle the correct equation. So for this one, what we need to do is recognize that it is the first one. I'm not going to go through the answers because unfortunately it is the first one. Because obviously we need 7 lots of b for it to be the same as a is 7 times bigger than b. So looking at question 21, it says that a spinner has 5 equal sections, and it says write a number in each section so that 1, the numbers are all different factors of 100, the probability of a single digit number is 3 over 5, and a multiple of 25, probability of selecting a multiple of 25 is 1/5. So let's first of all start by writing the factors of 100. So we've got 100, we've got 50, 25, 20, and 10. And in terms of the single digits, we've got 5, 4, 2, and 1. So from this, reading the information, that we've got to pick 5 of these 9 numbers that we've got. We need to pick any 3 of these. Any 3 from the blue section. We need to have that the probability of a multiple of 25. Now in terms of a multiple of 25, we've got 100, 50, and 25. So any one of the orange numbers, and then we just got to then select any one of, let's go for a different color, let's go for contrasting one, let's go for green. And then any one of these 2. Of these. So an example would be, so for example, any one of the orange numbers, so let's go for 50. Any 3 of the blue ones, so let's go for 5, 4, and 1. And then any of the green numbers, we can go for 20, and that would be an example of a correct answer. So as long as you go for a combination of those, so other combinations you could have to get your full marks would be, again, there's so many, I'm not going to read through them all, but basically 1 mark will be given for any of those, but also listing all the factors of 100 also get you a mark. Now in terms of question 22, it says that here is a small cuboid and a cube. Small cuboids and cubes are stacked in layers to make a larger cuboid. Here is a cuboid made of 4 layers. The patterns continue to make a cuboid with volume 336 centimeters cubed. How many cubes are being used? So for this one, what we need to do is we'll find out how many double layers are there. Now, in terms of this, let's first of all work out the volume of the cuboid, which is going to be 2 times 6 times 2, which gives me 24 centimeter cubed. Now, in terms of, so that's what 1 layer is going to be. Now, in terms of a layer of 3 cubes, so the volume of a cube is going to be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So then that's also going to be 24 centimeter cubed. So first things first, I need to work out how many 24s go into 36 to see how many rows there's going to be. So if I just zoom out just so that we've got a bit more space, and we can also see the question, which has now disappeared. So let's just quickly scroll down back to that question. Yeah. Let's move up slightly, a bit more there. And so on our calculator, 336 divided by 24 equals 14. So there's going to be 14 rows. And that means half the rows are going to be of the cubes. So half the rows will be cubes. So that means there's going to be 7. And 7 times 3, because there's 3 cubes in a row, is 21. So how many cubes are going to be used? The answer there is going to be 21. Then moving on to question 23, I think we might be able to zoom in on this one a little bit more so you can see it. And there we go. So with question 23 rather, it says Tom is tiling a wall. He needs to buy at least 100 tiles. The tiles are sold in large packs and small packs. Work out the cheapest cost for Tom to buy the packs of tiles he needs. So here we've got two offers. Now, in terms of these types of questions, you always want to show that you're working out multiple combinations. So combo 1 is probably the most logical one, which is going to be 2 large plus 1 small. And let's see what that comes up to. So with this, there's going to be no offer in this one because we only get money deducted if we're buying 3 large packs. So for this, 2 large is going to be 2 times 18 plus 14. And if I work that out on my calculator, and let's move that across, 2 times 18 is 36 plus 14 comes up to a total cost of £50. Then if I go for combo 2, in which I'm going to buy 3 large packs, and that's going to be 3 times 18, and again on the calculator, 3 times 18 equals, and that's £54. But with that, I'm getting 25% taken off, so minus 25%. Now 25% of 54, well, what calculation do I need to do? Was divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again, or divide by 4. It's entirely up to you. So here 0.25 times 54 gives me a discount of £13.50. So for this, what I then do is 54 take away £13.50, and that comes up to a total cost of £40.50. Now, in terms of another potential combo I could have, is combo 3 is buying 4 lots of the small pack, which is 4 times 14, and again there's no offer with that one, but if I do 14 times 4 comes up to a cost of £56. So you can see that the cheapest offer is going to be combo 2, which is £40.50. And obviously you want to include that working out there. Now I would say, do you need to show 3 combinations? Probably not, as long as you're including combo 2, because obviously that is going to be the cheapest, and the indication that is the case is by the special offer, because obviously it's got to be a reason why it's special offer with it being cheaper. As long as you're showing another calculation, you should get 3 marks for that. So question 13b says Tom is also tiling a floor. The floor is a rectangle with length of 600 centimeters by 240 centimeters. Each tile is a square of 40 centimeters. Tom uses his method to work out the number of tiles that he needs, and you can see from his working out what he's done. And the question says, give a reason why Tom's method is wrong. Well, the problem is that when you're working out the area of something, so for example here we've got 600 by 240, and we want to work out how many tiles there are. So he's basically working out how many tiles do I need to go across, which is 15. Let's just get rid of that, make more sense. So here he's worked out that there's 15 tiles here and 6 tiles needed here. But to work out the area, what I need to do is multiply these two numbers together, when what has Tom done? He's added them. So what he's done wrong is that he has added 15 and 6 instead of multiplying, which is where he went wrong. So moving on to question 27. Now question 27 is a constructing triangle question, which on the computer is going to be very, very difficult. So let me just explain to you what this should look like. Now you want to draw an equilateral triangle, which means that all the sides of your triangle must be the same. Now you also need to bear in mind is that they have given you a scale to use. So it says that 1 centimeter equals 2 meters, and we want the length of 16 meters. So if I just do a little sketch of what they want it to look like. So here 16 meters, 16 meters, 16 meters, and I need to draw a scale diagram where I've got an isosceles triangle where I'm dividing those numbers by 2. So I want to draw an 8 centimeter, 8 centimeters, and 8 centimeters. Now, how in turn we do this is the first thing you want to do is with a ruler is draw a line of 8 centimeters. Then with your compass, let me just do a really quick poor sketch of a compass. And here is your pencil, and here is the pin. And what you want to do is you want to set the distance between your pin and your pencil as 8 centimeters. Now once you've done that, you put your pin on one side of your 8 centimeter line and you draw an arc in between the line. Then you put your pin on the opposite end of the line and you draw another arc, and they should both meet at a cross point. Then with a ruler, what you then want to do is join those points up with the ends of the line, and what you should find then is you should have an equilateral triangle. Obviously mine is not drawn to scale, but there you go. Now also, when you're doing any form of scale drawings, you need to make sure that you are doing it on A4 sheet of paper. If you are working from a shrunken booklet and it's been reduced to A5, then obviously you might find that the measurements might go off the page. But I would say that even on a A5 sheet of paper, you should still be able to draw an accurate 8 centimeter equilateral triangle. So all of those lengths should be 8 centimeters, but make sure you do not rub out the construction lines. They want to make sure do not rub these out. Now,
so moving on to question 25, it says in a choir there are 35 men and 48 women. The probability that a man is chosen who wears glasses is 2/5, and the probability that a woman is chosen at random wears glasses is 3/5. And for 25A, it's asking us to work out the number of people in the choir who wear glasses. So for this, what we need to do first is, first of all, in terms of the men, is we need to multiply 2/5 by 35. And so all we need to do here is divide by 5 times by 2, so that's going to be 35 divided by the denominator multiplied by 2, which gives us an answer of 7 times 2, which is 14. Then for the women, we just need to do the same. So this is going to be 3/8. This time we're going to multiply by 48. So that's going to be 48 divided by 8, which is 6, times 3, which is 18. Then all that's left for me to do is to add the two numbers together. So here we've got 14 plus 18, so that's going to be 2. So that's going to give me an answer of 32. Then for question 25B, it says that a person is chosen at random from the choir. Work out the probability that the person does not wear glasses. So the first thing we need to do here is, first of all, work out the total number of people in the choir, which is going to be adding up the total number of men and women. So we've got 35 plus 48, which is going to give an answer of 83. So the number then of non glasses wearers is going to be 83 minus 32, which equals 51. So the question is asking for the probability, so it's going to be 51 over the total, which is 83. Does that simplify? Let me just type that into my calculator to see if it does. Don't think it does, no. Or you can write it as a decimal, which is going to be 0.61, and that's to 2 decimal places. But personally, I would leave it as a fraction if, when you type into your calculator, you get a nasty decimal answer.
Looking at question 26, it says density equals mass over volume. The mass is divided by 2 and the volume is multiplied by 4. What happens to the density? Now, one way of doing this is to think to yourself, well, mass, if that's halved, we've got, well, looking at this, we're going to, that's going to turn to multiplying by 0.5. And then we're multiplying the volume by 4, so we get this. Now, if I type that into my calculator, I get 0.5 divided by 4, and that equals 1/8. Now, what is 1/8? Well, that is the same. So multiplying by 1/8 is the same as dividing by 8. So the option I need to select is that one there. Now for question 27, it's about solving simultaneous equations. So when we're solving simultaneous equations, we just need to ask ourselves a series of questions. So have we got the same number of x's? No. Have we got the same number of y's? Yes, we have. So then we've got to decide, are the signs of the y's the same or are they different? They're the same. So what do we need to do to the two equations is take away. So take away the x's. I've got 7x, take away 3x, which is 4x. the y's disappear, which is telling me that I'm doing the right thing, and I've got 36 take away 16, which is 20. So therefore, if 4x equals 20, x is going to equal 5. Now the next thing I then need to do is using one of the equations, so using, let's go for 3x plus 2y equals 16. I know that x equals 5, so I've got 15 plus 2y equals 16. Now if I take the 15 over to the other side, I get 2y equals 1. Take the 2 over, and what I end up with is y equals a half. So my answers then are x equals 5 and y equals a half. Or if you want to write it as 0.5, then that is absolutely fine. Now looking at question 28, it says that pie chart shows information about people at a theme park. And we've got our pie chart with the angles, and it's not drawn to scale, which is an important thing, so not to reach for the protractor. It says there were 450 more women than there were men. Work out the number of children. So looking at the angles, the difference between the angles, difference between men and women is 30 degrees. And 30 degrees must equal 450 people. So what I want to work out is what is 1 degree. So well, 1 degree then is going to be 450 divided by 30, which again, if I just double make sure my calculator, divided by 30 is going to equal 15. So 1 degree equals 15 people. Now from this, I know that the total circle adds up to 360 degrees. So if I take away the two known angles of 65 and 35, I get an answer of 360 minus 65 minus 35 equals 260 degrees. Now, if 1 degree is 15 people, I just need to times that by 15 and get my final answer. So 260 times 15 equals 3,009. Oh, go on there. Equals 3,900. Now that number does look big, but you've got to imagine that we don't know the number of men and women, just know that the difference is 450, but also the children is majority of this, so that answer does look correct. So looking at the next question, it says that the graph shows how much Molly is paid for working up to 40 hours. She receives a basic pay for the first 35 hours and a higher rate for the next 5 hours. Work out the difference between the higher rate of pay and the basic rate of pay. So for this, what we need to do is recognize that there are two sections for this here, and we've got the pay. So what for the first part, so for the first 35 hours, she has worked 35 hours and been paid a total of, and we read this carefully, of £280. Then, so if we work out the rate of pay, that's going to be 280 divided by 35. And again, reaching for the calculator, 280 divided by 35 gives me a rate of £8 an hour. So now what I need to do is then work out what she's done, the rate of pay for the next part. So you could call this like overtime. So from this, she's got 350 minus 280, which equals £70. So for the next 5 hours, she has got £70. So then what I then need to do is 70 divided by 5, which equals £14 per hour. And what the question's asking me for is the difference between these two numbers. So here I've got 14 take away 8, giving me an answer of 6. So here I'm just going to write it's going to be a difference of £6. Then looking at question 30, it says work out the cube root of 512 to the reciprocal of 0.4. Well, the cube root of 512, and again going for the calculator again, so do shift and the cube root of 512, which gives me an answer of 8, and the reciprocal of 0.4. Reciprocal just means 1 over, so if I just do 1 over 1 divided by 0.4, press equals, I get 2.5. Now, because they want the ratio n to 4, so I've got 8 to 2.5, but what I want is I want to change this second number into a 1. So how do I do that? Well, I divide by 2.5. Now, if I divide that number by 2.5, I need to divide the 8 by 2.5 as well. So again, reaching for the calculator, 8 divided by 2.5 gives me an answer of 3.2. So then the ratio is 3.2 to 1. Then looking at question 31, which is our last question. So here it's using trigonometry, work out the value of x. So when you're doing trig, the important thing is to label the triangle. So this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent. Now I'm not using the hypotenuse, so that's blank, so I can just simply cross that out. Which trig ratio uses a and h? Well, that's going to be cos. So I've got cos of 39 equals x over 20. So to get x as subject, I need to take the 20 over to the other side. So I've got 20 times cos 39 equals x. So on the calculator, if I just enter just that, so 20 times cos 39, close bracket, equals, and it's 15.5. And again, so let me just write down all of that number. So I've got x equals 15.542919. Let's correct that. So 1923. Now if I wanted to, if I'm rubbish at rounding, I might want to leave my answer like that, but personally I would round the answer up to 15.5, and that's been rounded to 1 decimal place. And there we go. Now because the answer is a decimal number, I would add a few decimals, but again, just be wary of your rounding, and because there's no mention of how they want the answer written, you could get away with writing the whole entire answer and still get full marks. Now we'll put the grade boundaries of this paper so you can see that when you've marked your paper, see what grade you would have got. Now looking at question 25, it says in a choir there are 35 men and 48 women. The probability that a man chosen at random wears glasses is 2/5, and the probability that a woman chosen at random wears glasses is 3/8. And the question is asking us to work out the number of people in the choir who wear glasses. So here in terms of the men, what we need to do is we've got to work out the total men, which is 35, and we multiply that by the probability. So here 35 divided by 5 is 7 times 2 is 14. So there's 14 men who wear glasses. Now if we repeat the same for the women, so again we've got 48 women and we multiply that by 3/8, and that gives us a total of 18. And so to work out the answer, all we then need to do is add these two numbers up, in which we get the total number of people who wear glasses in the choir is 32. Now looking at 25b, it then says that a person is chosen at random from the choir, work out the probability that they do not wear glasses. So first things first, what we need to do is work out the total number of people now that wear glasses. So the total number of people in the choir. And how do we do that? Well, we just add the two totals. So 35 plus 48 equals 83. Now from this, what we then need to do is do 83 take away 32, because obviously there's 32 people in there, and then we get an answer of 51, and then because we want the probability, it's going to be 51 over 83, and that there is our final answer. Now if you were to work this out as a decimal, you should get 0.61, but again personally I would probably leave it as a fraction because I can't bother to write out the long decimal number. But if you did write 0.61, then that would be absolutely fine.